Okay, so teething problems. Hello, everyone. My mouth was moving, but you couldn't hear anything, and didn't know that this was going to mute me straight away. Yeah. So welcome again. Lovely to have you guys all here. Thanks for participating in this first of a series, or actually second of a series of webinars that we'll be hosting as the internship. Yes, I can see. Okay, cool. Guys, please help yourselves to the chat. I won't participate textually in the chat. I'll do everything with video and sound. If you look in the bottom, you'll have of your window there's a questions section. Please use that to type in any questions that you need answered as we go through the session. And I will either address them at that point or most likely at the Q&A at the end. Okay, so pop in any questions you'd like me to answer or address. I also have a co-host, a colleague of mine, Kevin Kirby, here with us. I'll ask him to chime in if I can't, if my knowledge isn't sufficient to help you guys out. But I might ask Kev to join us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my eye on the chat. So let me know if there's any problems with connections or sound or anything like that as we move through this session. And I see we have most of the people that have registered have joined. If you happen to join late, or you know somebody who joined late, or you'd like to catch this session later on, if you have to run off to attend to more pressing matters like screaming children, don't worry, this is being recorded and you'll be sent a link to watch the recording after the session as well. Also, in some of the email correspondence that you'll receive after the session, you will have some resources that I'll share with you in terms of a blog, a YouTube channel, that type of thing. So when you do get those emails, check out those resources that might also teach you something or answer some questions that you might have. All right, guys, so let's kick off with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my video, so it might save a little bit of bandwidth and give you guys a better experience too. I'm going to base this on sort of a presentation deck, and while we go through, I'm going to show you some videos as well. So this is meant to be practical and to teach you guys something that you can use straight away. All right, put these things into practice. These are things that should benefit yourself and your business. So without further ado, let's kick this thing off. So I'm going to maximize that so you can't see my video. All right, so guys, what we're here to discuss today is it's basically a practical guide for how to use the LinkedIn platform to remain effective in our difficult and challenging business world that we're living today, and probably that we're also going to be entering into after this coronavirus situation has blown over. So what we're going to talk about today is why we can't ignore the LinkedIn platform, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to make the best online first impression, how to achieve better digital visibility and what that means and why that's important. And that's great for us as individuals. You know, these kind of things we can harness as individual people, activity that we can use to back this up to benefit ourselves, personally, professionally, and from a business perspective. And then number 4, I'm going to introduce you to a concept called Wolfpack Marketing. It might sound a little bit strange, but we'll get into it. And this is how businesses, companies, and organizations can actually take advantage of collective LinkedIn activity, which will help us achieve collective business objectives as companies, as organizations. And then we will end up with a Q&A at the end. So like I said before, type in your questions into the questions section at the bottom left of your window, and then I'll address those either immediately or at the end. Okay. Right. Most of you may or may not know that LinkedIn generates a QR code which links back to your individual LinkedIn profile. Here's mine. So if we haven't connected on LinkedIn, you can take out your smartphone, open up the LinkedIn app, and in the top right-hand corner of the search bar is a QR code reader. You can also use your camera's, your phone's camera function, and that will give you the option to go to my LinkedIn profile. So if we haven't connected yet, please go ahead, scan this code, go to my profile, invite me to connect, and then we can take the conversation further. I have put this QR code at the end of the presentation as well, So don't stress if you don't get your phones to cooperate immediately. If I take a break, it's because I'm drinking some water. My colleagues know that I do drink copious amounts when I talk, so don't stress if there's a little bit of a break in the audio. All right. Let's just talk quickly about how this coronavirus situation has impacted social media usage at the moment. So not too many statistics, as one can imagine, around yet, because this is quite a current and a new situation. But while I was able to find a few, and it says that 45% of people are now spending more time on social media than before. And I don't think that's necessarily surprising to anyone. 10% of people are now, 10% more people are now creating content on social media, especially video. I think this whole social distancing phenomenon has led to us to look for more ways to connect with other individuals. And remember, social media is about people connecting and communicating with people. Bear that in mind. And the last one I could find is 76% more engagement on social media posts since the coronavirus situation has locked us all down. And that's quite significant, I think. So what that tells me is that the lockdown situation and the coronavirus situation is driving more and more people to social media. And what that also tells me is that we need to take advantage of this situation right now. The attention is there, the eyeballs are there. So what are we going to do about it? So first of all, I'm going to start and say, why LinkedIn? Why not other social media platforms? Or what's important or interesting or special about the LinkedIn platform? Well, it is the accepted professional and business platform. With over 660 million, I think the current number is in the 670 odd million members in over 200 countries and regions, and over 7 million people in South Africa actually have a LinkedIn profile. I think that's quite significant. Probably almost every single economically active person in this country has a LinkedIn profile. And you can probably reach most of those people on LinkedIn. There are 303 million active users every month on LinkedIn globally. So it's just about, or just under half, actually access the platform on a monthly basis. There are 90 million senior business decision makers active on the platform. On the other side of the coin, only 3 million people out of everybody on LinkedIn contribute content to the platform. That's less than 1%. Only 3 million people actually will type a post and publish something on the platform. And only 1 million out of everyone on LinkedIn have ever written a blog or an article type of piece of content for the platform. What that tells me, and what we should all take from this, I think, is that it's easy, if we're active, to be in the minority and to actually stand out from the crowd. I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right. Yes, Alex, I see a question over here. You'll definitely get access to these slides. This will be, I can make the slideshow available to you, send me a message and I can send it across, but you can also access this presentation as a recording or a replay. I will also put it on our YouTube channel afterwards as well. What about the other social media platforms, guys? So this is what I found when I was researching it. 80% of business-to-business leads from social media come from LinkedIn versus 13% on Twitter and 7% on Facebook. Now, I'm not saying ignore any other platforms, definitely not. But as you can see, 80% of the success is coming from a single platform, the business professional platform, which is LinkedIn. It also generates 3 times more conversions of paid advertising than Facebook or Twitter. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to run promotions on Facebook, paid ads and that kind of thing, and on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very expensive, and this is probably why. It's a bit more successful, especially in the B2B space. So why bother with LinkedIn as an individual? Why not just leave it up to your company's marketing department if they want to use it for business? Well, there is 8 times more engagement on a post published by an individual compared to a post published by a brand or a company on LinkedIn. Remember, it's social media, and people have relationships with people, not so much relationships with companies and brands, especially ones that they're not familiar with. Another statistic, which is fantastic, your individual post will actually reach 561% more eyeballs than the post published by your company. And then finally, 92% of your connections are unfamiliar with the company that you work for. So it's very important to be active as individuals, not just as a marketing responsible person sitting behind a computer for your company. All right, there's something called social selling. I don't know if you guys are aware or have ever heard of this term. Some have, some haven't. It's been quite a contentious concept over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. When it first was bandied about, people started hopping onto social media platforms, and it was like a spray and pray, trying to sell everything to everyone. And it actually left a bad taste in some people's mouths. So try and remember this, that social selling is not selling something on social media, but it is building business relationships on social media so that you can have some kind of business transaction off of the platform. All right. So some statistics, and I'm sure you've read them by now while I've been talking. 7 times more leads convert if developed through employee social marketing. 37% higher retention rate for customers referred through advocacy programs on social media. 90% of B2B buyers are more likely to engage with people viewed as experts in their industry. 84% of C-level execs do buying research using social media. Now, this shouldn't really be surprising at all. And of course, the last one, which is all about word of mouth, 92% of consumers trust referrals from people that they know. I don't think that's confusing or new to anyone. So using social media can actually leverage these things, leverage this word of mouth phenomenon at scale. So word of mouth is great if you're standing around a braai with 2 or 3 friends, but now on a social media platform or any other digital communication platform, you can reach more people in less time in a targeted fashion. So this is another great reason to use a platform like LinkedIn for business. So have I convinced you to use LinkedIn? Have I convinced you that it's a good idea? I'm sure I could motivate you even more, but in the interests of time, I think if you are convinced, maybe you have a question, so what now? What do we do? All right, so I've basically broken it down into 2 pillars of things that we need to do. The first thing we need to do is we need to make a very good first impression, as good as possible, a first digital impression. Okay, so we need to optimize our personal LinkedIn profile. And secondly, we need to generate digital visibility for ourselves and for our company. That might be brand awareness, product and solution awareness, but to do that, we need to get active. It doesn't help to create a profile, connect with people, and then do nothing about it. All right. We need to stay top of mind. And the only way that we're going to do that is by being active on the platform. And here to come are the things that I suggest that we do moving forward to make sure that we do this properly. So first, let's look at your online profile. So this, in the example, is the CEO of LinkedIn, and he's got a pretty good online profile. I don't necessarily agree with everything he's done, but it looks pretty good to me compared to the one on the right, which obviously is not appropriate for the platform that we're talking about here today. Right. I don't think I would want any of my clients to see me on the beach, shirtless with a couple of beers against my face. So I'm going to talk you through how to make your profile as professional and effective as possible. So guys, we need to raise our photo game. Okay, the one on the left, maybe not so appropriate for the platform. The one on the right, much, much better. Think about your own profile photos, what they possibly look like, and what you could do to change it. LinkedIn also tells us that profiles with photos get 21 times more views and 36 times more messages than profiles that don't have a profile photo. I've seen over the last 2 years, more and more higher percentage of people are actually putting up profile photos, and that's a good thing. All right. Let's look at your banner image. That's that picture behind your face. All right. Is it attractive? Is it business relevant? What does it say about your personality? Maybe about your industry, maybe about your company. You could obviously choose to have it branded or non-branded. But what does it do to articulate what you're all about on the platform? I hope you'll agree with me that Jeff's profile on the bottom looks much more interesting than Jeff's profile on the top. So definitely go ahead and add a banner image to your LinkedIn profile. Now comes something that is a little bit contentious. There are a lot of opinions around your headline, what it should include, what it shouldn't include. But what I will tell you is that having a powerful headline can help you stand out in search results. It can make your value that you offer to connections on the platform more clear, and it can definitely improve the success rate of your connection requests that you send. Now, I know about this firsthand. I keep on changing my LinkedIn headline regularly as I feel something else is a bit more relevant. And I've definitely seen an increase, personally, of connection request success when my headline articulates some or other value that I offer to my connections. So let's look at this example quickly. I don't know if you can read it. The writing is a little bit small in the example, but Mike here is an accountant, and his first one says experienced accountant, consultant, and controller. Not necessarily very sexy, but I suppose it tells us what he does for a living. Or if you look at the bottom example, he articulates his value quite nicely. I help small business owners save truckloads of cash on their tax returns. Now, if I was a small business owner and I was looking to save money on my tax returns, Mike would be the guy that I would choose to go for. So think about it. When you're crafting your headline, what you could put in there, which will articulate your value better to your prospective clients. So in LinkedIn, this is quite important from a headline perspective. When people are searching the platform, looking for people like you. So looking for people that do your job or have your job position or your title, or when they see people in your company as part of a list. So LinkedIn, of course, it is a powerful search engine, and it picks up keywords in a few areas of your profile, not just in one place. So it looks at your headline, of course. It also looks at your About Me summary. It also looks in your current and previous job experience information that you've actually put in there. So what I will say, take from this, you don't necessarily need your job title in your headline. So if you have something powerful and quite significant, like CEO, for example, by all means, leave it in there. But if you're just a sales guy, is it really necessary to say sales executive or account manager or something in your headline? Maybe not so much, but you might want to say, I help companies in this industry solve this problem. That might be something to think about. I see Taryn is commenting that she's battling with her sound. I think, Taryn, it's probably an internet issue. I think there's a lot of people trying to access various online resources at the moment. If you are battling with your sound, don't stress about it. Maybe you want to just pick up on the YouTube video later just to see if you've missed anything. That will be available, of course. All right. Now I'm going to talk about associating your LinkedIn profile with your company's page, your company's LinkedIn page. If you look at your profile, you might see an icon of your company's logo on the right-hand side. If you don't have that, if you've got a small gray block, that means you haven't associated yourself with your company, your company's LinkedIn page. Maybe your company doesn't have a LinkedIn page. I think it's important to get one. But I'm going to show you a quick video on how to associate your personal profile with your company's LinkedIn page. Check this out. Here we go. I'm going to open this one up. I'm going to drop that down, and I'm going to give you that one. I'd like to show you how you can associate your personal profile with your company LinkedIn page. If you look at your profile, the name of your current company should be on the right-hand side with the logo of your company's LinkedIn page. If it's just got a gray block over there, then you need to pay attention to these next steps. So scroll down to your current experience and then click the blue edit icon. Under the name of your company, start typing the name of the company that you work for, and then LinkedIn will give you a suggestion which you need to click on. Then click Save. This will make sure that you've associated your personal profile with that of your company LinkedIn page. All right, guys, I hope that little video was clear and it made sense, and that you understand why it's important to do that. All right, the next one I want to chat to you about is how to customize your online profile URL. This is your personal website address, which takes people to your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to show you another little video there. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how you can edit your LinkedIn profile's website address or URL. I'm busy viewing my LinkedIn profile at the moment, and you can see in the address bar that this is what my LinkedIn URL is. linkedin.com/in/NicholasKrullZA. Now, by default, LinkedIn makes your public URL your name dash your surname dash a string of random characters. So you can change that to something more meaningful. So when you're viewing your profile, you can click at the top right-hand corner on Edit Public Profile and URL, which will open up a new tab for you. And then on the top right-hand corner, you can click on the blue pencil icon and you can edit your actual profile website address. Remove all the random characters and make it something more meaningful. And once you've chosen something, which could just be your name and surname, you can click Save. Then you'll get a message on the bottom left from LinkedIn saying they've updated your settings. So now you can copy that out and paste it into your email signature, or you can share it across social media and drive more people to your LinkedIn profile. I hope this helps. Okay, I hope that made sense to you guys. That's a fantastic thing that you all should do. It also shows attention to detail when people go to your LinkedIn profile. All right, so now for yourselves, give yourselves a profile score and think about these different elements. Give yourself a point for an appropriate professional business-like photograph. Give yourself a point for a relevant banner image. Give yourself a point for a clear and descriptive headline. A point for affiliating yourself with your company's LinkedIn page, and another point for overall profile completion. So what do I mean about that? I mean, have you filled out all the information in all of the sections? So your current and your past work experience, and not just the name of the company and how long you worked there, but also what you did at that company there and what you achieved. That really, really helps in terms of reputation and credibility. So guys, now I hope you know what you can change in your profile to make it as good as possible, to make the best online first impression. So if you want to play as a team, and if this is important in your organization, okay, you can make a best first impression of your organization as well. So if you look at the company on the left, they've got a mismatched bunch of profiles there with interesting photographs like from university graduations and those type of things. And then after we worked with them, you can see how they all have something very similar in the look and feel. And I'm sure you'll agree that makes a very, very good first impression when you're looking to do business with a company and you start researching the people that work there. All right, so now moving on to the second section is what can you do from an activity point of view to make yourself more visible on LinkedIn? So think about it in two ways. You can make yourself visible by triggering notifications for other people on the platform, and you can add value to your network so that you become considered as valuable. I hope that makes sense. So let's work through this a little bit, and I'm sure you'll see what I mean. All right. So what can we do? We can search for the right people to connect to. It doesn't help you publishing content and the wrong people or the inappropriate people are seeing your content. It's not going to deliver results for you. Okay. But you can also, when you've searched for people and you visit their profiles, they get a notification. I'm sure you've seen that in LinkedIn, where you see John Smith has viewed your profile. That's one thing or one place where you can definitely start. Then you need to connect with the correct people. You're inviting them to open a one-on-one communication channel on the LinkedIn platform. When you connect, you're also telling them that you're interested in what they have to say, and you're inviting them to consume your content as well. Now, remember to click on the follow button when you send an invitation to connect request, so that even if they don't necessarily accept your connection request, every time they publish content, you will have the option of seeing that content as well, so that you can engage with it, so that you can make them see your name again. Now, most people think that, or when people invite them to connect on LinkedIn, most people have a fear that they're either going to be asked to buy something, or that the other person is looking for a job, or that the other person is wanting to offer them a job. So maybe just a suggestion, maybe shift your mindset slightly to these points that I've jotted down over here. And I would encourage you to accept the requests from more people, because you can never underestimate the power of the network. Right. Something else that you can do is you can comment on other people's posts. Engaging with other people's content helps other people to see your name, and it's a great way to show empathy, right? You can also tag other people in the comments that you leave. This shows that you care by pointing them to helpful content. You can type the email @John Smith. I think you would enjoy this post. And then John Smith would get a notification triggered to him and will be pointed to that piece of content. Now, if you do this continuously and in an intelligent way, you'll become known as helpful and valuable within your network. And you can also demonstrate your expertise and your business focus without being spammy or salesy. LinkedIn currency today, the most powerful thing today on LinkedIn is comments. Nothing boosts the reach of content more than comments. So if you're wondering how this works, or how LinkedIn actually distributes content across the platform, by default, it's not chronological. LinkedIn will show content to people who LinkedIn thinks will find the content valuable. All right, so if you post something and LinkedIn thinks it's decent quality, it will show it to a certain amount of people on the platform. As soon as you start getting engagement, and comments are a very powerful form of engagement, LinkedIn will see that the content that you've posted is good quality, and it will actually show it to more people that it thinks will find the content valuable. So more comments helps to spread your content further and further across first and second and third degree connections. So if you're looking to boost the reach of your content, get more people to comment on that content, and you can ask people to comment, of course, but you could also create the content in a way that elicits engagement. Okay. Post regularly and stay in your lane. It's very important to be regular, because the LinkedIn algorithm actually learns about you as a content creator. It learns what you create content about and who would be interested in that content. So contribute to the conversation in your industry. Okay. Always add context and explain why your audience should be interested in what you're sharing. Now, this counts especially if you're posting or resharing something off your company LinkedIn page. Okay. Never ever share without contextualizing this first. Doing so would be like me walking up to you with a book and putting it in your hands and walking away without saying a word. You'd have no idea what the book was about, why I'm giving it to you, and I think it would leave you quite confused. But if I walk up to you and I give you this book and I say, hey, John, here's a book, read chapter 3. It's all about woodworking and the best practices. And I think you'd really, really enjoy it. Then if I turned around and walked away at that point, you would at least understand why I pointed you to that content and why you should care about it. Something else to remember is do not hard sell on LinkedIn. It's social media. So it's media to be social. It's where people connect with people, to learn and communicate, not to buy. So people don't expect to transact on the LinkedIn platform. Where they do expect to transact, and when I'm talking about transact, I mean place an order or ask for a quote or something like that, is on your own company's website. So this is what LinkedIn activity is supposed to drive. It's supposed to drive high quality traffic to your company website. So don't try and sell something in the LinkedIn post. It smells like advertising and people don't like it. Your posts should be valuable to your followers and make you look like an expert. Let that sink in for a sec. When you're posting something on LinkedIn, ask yourself the question, is this post helpful or valuable or interesting, educational or entertaining to the people that will read it? And does it make me look like a valuable expert? If you can answer yes to both those questions, do that LinkedIn post. If you can't answer yes, maybe you should reconsider posting that. Those that know me know that I utter this almost every single day. We are there to serve our connections. Your actions on LinkedIn should always serve your connections. That's the only reason we should really be posting on LinkedIn. And if we do this consistently and regularly, then you will definitely see a reward at some point. All right. I'm often asked, how do I create content for LinkedIn? It shouldn't be scary. A lot of people are scared of creating content. Maybe they're not sure what to say. Maybe they're not sure how to word it. Maybe they're not sure that they have permission or are allowed to share, but it shouldn't be scary. Simply tell true stories that your audience can relate to. That's my advice to you. A couple of specifics. Don't talk about yourself. People find that excessively boring, and you'll see that posts like that won't perform very well in terms of engagement. Now, just keep in mind that when people engage with your content, it's showing you that they find your content interesting or helpful, and that they care about it. If you're not getting engagement, one of two problems exists. Either no one's seeing it or no one's caring about it. So don't talk about yourself. Write for your potential and your current clients, possibly, and talk about a problem that they're facing. If you're doing this, they'll be able to relate to your content. Also share about how you've solved similar problems for others and how your solution or your products that you sell or your approach has made their lives better. People love hearing stories with happy endings. Something else very important, stay in your lane. Don't post about cloud computing today and how to be a better manager tomorrow. That's going to be incongruent, and the LinkedIn algorithm will become confused, and the reach and the performance of your content will definitely suffer. So if you're going to be posting about cloud computing, post about cloud computing all the time. Right. You can document what you're doing or what you're busy with. You don't have to be necessarily creative. There's no need to be creative. And so just tell true stories, like I've said, that other people will relate to. So if I can just explain what this might look like in real life, if you start a LinkedIn post, maybe start it with the word you or your. Or if you are struggling with your on-premises IT equipment, then you should do these three things. And you make a list of 3 things that people can think about or try to make their lives better. That is a fantastic way to create content. All right, next one, post regularly. Now, there are also different opinions on this point. I firmly believe that if you're posting less than once a week, you're not getting the exposure that you need. Okay. Only 1% of people on LinkedIn actually post on the platform. So it's very easy to stand out from the crowd. And actually, if you're good at it, you can actually dominate the conversation in your industry and get an incredible share of voice. My personal advice is post at least once a week, but not more than necessarily once a day. So between 1 and 5 times a week should be appropriate and should be good for most of you guys. Okay. I have also been asked sometimes about something called audience fatigue. So what that means is, can you ever post enough so that your audience will become fatigued about hearing what you're saying? I don't necessarily subscribe to that idea. I think if people don't enjoy your content, whether it's once a week or once a day, they will tune out from it. They won't engage with it, and then LinkedIn will stop showing them your content. So it's kind of self-correcting. If people do enjoy your content, whether you're posting it once a week or 5 times a day, if they're still engaging with it, they'll show LinkedIn that they care about your content, and LinkedIn will keep showing your content to those people. But obviously let common sense prevail with this. I think more than once a day, you're probably, posting a bit too much, but definitely don't post less than once a week. Now, what about things like LinkedIn groups and the most fun thing, hashtags? So in groups, they are normally created around certain topics, and they're a completely separate tribe of people that come together around that common topic. And there you can access content published by people that you're not connected with. So you can discover new content and also new people to connect with and engage with, so that you can make yourself more visible to those people who might also be involved in your industry, for example. Engaging with the content in groups also makes you look like an expert, and it might also give you ideas for your own content, for example. Now, hashtags, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually search for hashtags in the LinkedIn Universal search bar, and that will also show you how many people follow those hashtags. Yes, you can follow a hashtag, and that will tell you how interesting that hashtag is within a specific conversation. So to use a hashtag, maybe in your business or your industry, maybe find the top 10 hashtags in your industry. And every time you post a piece of content, use 3 of those. Now, hashtags are used to mark your content for search. So when people are searching for something, they can actually discover your content, and also they'll discover you at the same time, but only use 3 per post, so that you're not confusing the issue. If you use more than 3 hashtags, maybe LinkedIn will think that you're trying to be attention greedy. No one loves a greedy person. But you also want to give your post enough opportunity to be found by people looking for content in your space. All right. So you can also follow hashtags and discover engagement-worthy content. All right. Hashtags are very, very powerful, not just for use on Twitter and Instagram. I see I've got a question by Simone over here, and she asks, what other creative ways can we use LinkedIn? So I think there's a lot of things that you can do from a content perspective on LinkedIn. By default, LinkedIn gives you the option to put text content, image with a text, obviously video content as well. You can also upload like a PowerPoint file so people can scroll through. You can upload PDFs and those type of things. What I found works best over a period of time is not to stick to a single piece or a single theme of content. So post with and without images, slideshows, videos, all different kinds of content all of the time, because certain people enjoy certain kinds of content. Not everybody will like a video. Not everybody wants to scroll through a slideshow. So serve all of your different audience members. I see in the chat here, Gina's asking a question. Do your posts always have to necessarily be articles that you've written, or can it be short facts too? No, I think you can put in any kind of content that you think will be enjoyed by your audience. So what I think you can have, or what works very well, is that you can write stuff that comes in your own words, but you can also share content that you have found that other people have written. And by sharing interesting content, your audience will find you interesting and valuable at the same time. All right. That kind of concludes what we can do as individuals, or the information that I'd like to share today with you guys. Of course, there's a lot more that we can do, a lot more detail that we can go into, and I could definitely keep you guys here all day long, but I'm sure you've got other things to do. All right, so I want to introduce you to a concept that we like to call Wolfpack Marketing. Now, wolves hunt as a team. So think about this in a business context. You're not an island within a company. You might have a team of people all trying to achieve very similar business objectives. That could be acquiring new clients or whatever the case is. But playing as a team on social media offers you economies of scale that you can definitely use. This is part of a concept that we call employee advocacy, which is basically bringing together a team of employees to be brand champions and communicators on behalf of the business using social media. So what can a team achieve by working together? And this is to help achieve the business objectives of the organization. So you can increase brand awareness, which is very important. And I think that's what a lot of marketing and advertising is designed to do. Now, as individuals doing this, your content won't necessarily look like advertising, which, none of us want to see advertising. So you can increase your brand awareness of your company. You can do a lot towards acquiring and retaining clients. You can also use it to assist with recruitment and talent acquisition. You can use it as a platform to tell your corporate social responsibility stories. And of course, you can drive high quality traffic to your company website. Now, so much effort goes into driving traffic to websites these days, from paid advertising and search engine optimization and a whole bunch of things. But really, if you can get people to visit your LinkedIn page off of content that you've written, and then from your LinkedIn page, your company page, hop over to your company website, that's what success looks like to me. Just looking at the chat here quickly, what's your feelings on daily content and then strategic content when an issue is relevant to the time? Definitely. I think you should have a more universal content strategy, and that should really dictate the kind of content that you're putting out as an individual or a team on a regular basis, which should be industry relevant. And of course, now, speaking about issues relevant to that specific time, you can definitely get tactical. So I was reading another study this morning that said consumers have a higher approval rating on brand advertising, which speaks about COVID-19 situation and what they're doing about the situation or potentially helping, than just regular old marketing and advertising. So yes, you can definitely react to current events in your content if and when it is relevant. And I think definitely a good idea. You should be doing that. Okay. So to jump back, how can a team work together and partake in this thing called employee advocacy? So there's 5 critical elements which we have found works or that need to be in place for this to be successful. So firstly, if you are, for example, a business leader and you think your team should be playing as a team on social media, you need to invite a group of people which are most likely already experts in the field to participate in a structured activity, in a structured kind of program. Next, you need to align your business objectives with kinds of social media content which the team would be then asked and be allowed to share on to their personal networks. Number 3, provide a social media training on the appropriate platforms to get all of the people in that team on the same page. Now, this will make sure that everybody understands what's expected of them and how to go about being successful in this way and put out the right kind of activity. Then implement a period of coaching and hand-holding and project management, if you want, to make sure that that activity plan is executed as you think it should be. And then finally, you need to measure the activity and the success of that implementation and make adjustments as necessary. And this is something we call an employee advocacy program that we find most companies, especially in the B2B space, can definitely benefit from. But of course, there are some challenges that you might run into when trying to do something like this. For example, if you're trying to do it internally, who would be held accountable for making sure that this actually works? Who's going to be the executive sponsor of this kind of program? Would it be someone in HR, or about marketing or sales? Because it is relevant to all of these business areas. How would you ensure participation without having to incentivize people or punish them or set up specific KPIs? When people are forced to use their personal profiles on social media for business purposes, you definitely want them to do this of their own volition. You don't want it to be forced. What we see is that if you do force the issue, their content doesn't come across as very authentic. Right? Are there skills internally to drive a program like this? And what about using software automation to help achieve this versus doing something manually? Okay. Or your other option, if you don't want to try and tackle this internally, is you can outsource something like this to a service provider to help you out. Maybe a company that has expert coaches to manage the activity and the feedback, to help with the planning, to do monitoring and reporting back to the business to show how effective this is, and to report on things like the return on your investment, and someone who's got deep expertise in running a program like this. So this is my shameless plug. And us at the internship, this is our bread and butter. This is what we do. And this is how we assist companies. And we're finding it even more relevant today. And that's the end of my shameless plug for now. All right. As individuals and teams, we need to focus on activity that actually drives results, activity that counts. So taking a few intentional actions on a regular basis will reward you in the long term. So what can you do as an individual on LinkedIn every time you visit the platform? So I would recommend that you do this. Invite 10 people to connect with you every single time you use LinkedIn. It's very, very easy to do. You click on the little button which says network, and then there LinkedIn gives suggestions to you of people that LinkedIn thinks you should be connected to. If you've crafted a good headline, you can just hit the connect button 10 or 20 times within a few seconds. And doing this every time you visit the platform will actually help you grow your network quite quickly with many of the appropriate people. Like and comment, so engage on a couple of posts published by other people every single time you visit the platform. This will help you become more visible, and in the same way, you'll be adding value to your connected network. Post content at least once a week. We've gone over this one. And definitely engage with the content created and posted by your colleagues. This will help their content get better reach and give things like your brand more exposure. I want to see there's a couple more questions that have popped up. I'm almost done with the presentation, so I'll address those at the end if you don't mind. All right, so I like to say that LinkedIn is like going to the gym. Small efforts executed consistently and regularly will deliver really, really good results. I often hear that, no, LinkedIn doesn't work for me. So then I ask the person, okay, tell me about your LinkedIn activity. Now, I posted a few times and nothing ever happened. Okay, it's like going to the gym. I can go to the gym 3 times in a row and I probably won't feel like I've gotten any stronger or lost any weight. But if I go 3 times a week for 6 months, I'm sure that if I actually do the exercises, I will actually see results. So think about it like that, and please keep a long-term mindset when it comes to your LinkedIn activity. This is something else that you can do. Maybe you want to whip out your phones quickly and take a photograph of this little website address over here, linkedin.com/sales/SSI. This is your social selling index. So this is a great way to see how effective you actually are on the platform. And it's a fantastic way to compare yourself to people in your industry, as well as people in your connected network. It's an arbitrary number, okay? So don't get hung up on the specifics of it. But if you can see your number increasing over time, then you know that you're doing something right. And if you can get your score anywhere close to 70 or above, you are probably being very effective on LinkedIn. So this is a great place to have a look and to see how effective you are using the platform. Okay, that's me, guys. Thank you for your patience and listening to me waffle on a little bit over there. So there we go. You can see me. Hi, thanks for listening. So now I'm going to address some of you guys' questions. So here's the one. please run through how the LinkedIn algorithm works again. Okay, cool. So LinkedIn, from a content distribution algorithm perspective, what happens is you create a post, you publish that post out to your audience, to your connected network, and LinkedIn will rank that piece of content for quality. So it'll look like, is the language used appropriate? Is the content industry relevant for you? The image that you've used, is it congruent with the copy that you've used? Have you used hashtags? All of these kind of things. And based on LinkedIn's ranking of your content, it will decide how many people to show your piece of content to in the feed. Now, once it's out there in the feed to a very small percentage of your connections, maybe 10 or 15% of your connections, LinkedIn sits back as an algorithm and looks and listens to what people do with your content. Are people clicking like? Are they sharing it? And most powerfully, are they commenting on your content? If they are engaging, LinkedIn will then show your content to another layer of your connections. So maybe it'll first go to 100. Then if it sees engagement, it'll send your content to another 100 people. If they engage, LinkedIn must send that content to another 100. And this is how your content reaches more and more and more people over time. I hope that really makes sense. Okay, here's another question. Does deleting competitors from your network help reaching the right people for your post? That's a very interesting question. Deleting competitors from your network. I don't necessarily think it's going to help your content reach more appropriate people, because you might not want your competitors to see what you're doing. But what I will tell you is that because so few people are using LinkedIn effectively as it is today, I wouldn't stress about your competitors. If you are creating more awareness of a solution in your industry, maybe more consumers will be inclined to buy that solution. So if more people are buying, more people will definitely be buying from you. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would say that, if some of your competitors are seeing your content, maybe they're learning something they didn't know before. But if they engage with that content, more people see your content and you look like the expert. I hope that answers that one. Another one, what's the YouTube link that we can view this video on again? The YouTube link will be in an email that will come to you after this session. Okay, that's if you go to YouTube and you type in the intern-ship and you search for our channel with this blue and white logo, you'll definitely find it. Okay, but the session's recording will probably be up by tomorrow morning. Okay. All right, anything else? Guys, please use the questions area right now. LinkedIn is usually dubbed as a professional social media. Can it still be an effective place to post content to push people to read a blog? I think definitely. Definitely, if your blog is specific, I can see this one is around wine. You can definitely use LinkedIn because business people like to drink wine. Professionals like wine, right? People want to know what's interesting about the specific wines that you're talking about. So people will not necessarily post about what you're interested in, but they might definitely enjoy your content. Okay, as more and more people realize what you're on about, you'll grow more of an audience on that specific topic.
Nick, if I can chime in there, that's exactly
Sure,
what
Kev.
Gary V is. Gary V is a wine merchant, actually. So, and that's LinkedIn is his favorite platform. So, if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Another question I see here in the chat, are there industries that shouldn't be on LinkedIn? As a blanket statement, I don't think so. I think everyone should be on LinkedIn because there are so many eyeballs there. And appropriate eyeballs, I'm thinking economically active people with money to spend, people that are in business leadership, decision makers. I think everybody should be on LinkedIn. More specifically, like car services, I think absolutely. I enjoy some content on motoring personally on LinkedIn, even though it's completely outside of my industry, but it's definitely in an interest category of mine. So if people are posting content around, what's the best place to get your car serviced, what oil should you use, these kind of things, you will reach an appropriate audience that are interested in these kind of things on LinkedIn for sure. Another one, is LinkedIn a good platform to drive people to podcasts? I think so, definitely. And, we have a podcast of our own. It's called Wolfpack Marketing, incidentally. And I think it's a great place because especially if the podcast is business related, you can actually find that interest audience on LinkedIn. Even if it's not strictly business related, a lot of people on LinkedIn still have interests outside of business.
If I can just add to that, Gina, as well, think of it LinkedIn as one of the platforms that you can utilize. And it is a very useful platform, specifically in the business sense, or when you're talking about niche, economically active people as well. So if your podcast is aimed at that particular market, then 100% you should be there.
Cool. Some more questions are coming through here. Do you think that posting articles regularly increases your credibility or like posts and articles? So a post is an update. It's a shorter form piece of content, and that is what will get more exposure or more views on LinkedIn in the feed. Your article won't necessarily appear in the LinkedIn feed to your audience, but your posts will. But I would say definitely that you should be posting articles, not at the same cadence as you post normal updates and posts. But what happens is the articles, two things actually quite interesting. Articles live within your profile. It's like a blog, so you can really get in depth and attack an issue over there. So people visiting your profile will find your articles, and there they can learn more about yourself, your industry, what your value proposition is, or whatever the case. Something else very interesting about articles on LinkedIn is they are indexed for search in search engines like Google. So if you're writing an article about car servicing and you actually publish that to your LinkedIn profile, and then I go and I Google something around car servicing, I might find your LinkedIn article in a Google search. So that's what it's fantastic for. It's fantastic for search engine optimization and things like that. Another question here. Yes, this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel as soon as tomorrow morning. Another question here. You've put a lot of emphasis on individual posting being more effective than brand and company posting. So what kind of content do you think companies and brands should post? That's a great question. I love the fact that individuals' content performs so much better than companies' content. If I see a piece of content coming down the feed from a company, because it's a company name attached to it, it kind of looks like advertising to me straight away. But don't stop doing it. And the kind of content has to be valuable to your customers. Okay, so when someone finds their way to don't worry about the feed necessarily. Don't worry about what people see in the feed of your company page updates. Worry about what people see when they visit your company LinkedIn page. It's like your website away from your website. Okay, so what you want to exist there is your value proposition, how you make your clients' lives better, real stories that people can relate to around customer success. So, customer testimonials and case studies and even things like product launches is cool. I would possibly shy away from your Black Friday $9.99 special when posting on your company LinkedIn page, because all you're trying to do with a company LinkedIn page is make your company look as good as possible. Right? You want to make people feel that this is a company that they'd be comfortable doing business with. And if you don't have a company LinkedIn page, you should definitely get one. And I would say just put 1 or 2 pieces of content on there a week. You don't have to post on there every day. And as you get more and more track record built up there, you can maybe even slow that down to maybe a couple of times a month. Okay, so I've just gotten a notification on the platform that the that the system might not be able to take more questions because of some server capacity issue. So that's cool. Let me look here at the chat. Don't hesitate to post more stuff in the chat here, and I'll have a look at that. If your about section is very diverse because of your past career experience, but now your focus is on a new avenue, how would you focus on driving attention to the current job? Good question. I would say in your about section, concentrate on the value that you offer today. I would say let your previous experience section of your previous jobs or previous companies, use that to articulate what you achieved in those positions. But in your summary, your about section, focus on what you can offer today. That would be my advice. What are some good ideas to get people to engage with your posts? There's a lot of information that one can share around this, and I was thinking about doing a webinar in a week or two exactly on content creation and how to make it perform as good as possible. So definitely check out our next webinar, but I'll do what I can to answer this one now. Elicit or ask questions, and that might get people to participate in a conversation. So start a conversation. That is a good way. Offer up lists. Lists of between 3 and 10 points to say, if you're considering buying a new car, these are the 5 things you should think about before you do. And then list those out there because people find that useful and helpful, don't they? You can share information that people might not necessarily know. You can tell true stories, like I've mentioned before, and use real examples. Definitely content that people can relate to will be the most engaging at the end of the day. But I think if you want to try and elicit as much engagement as possible, ask an open-ended question and get people to chime in with their own thoughts, ideas, experiences. Okay, I do see another question came through in the question section. In my network, have an average SSI of 51. I rank in the top 62%, good or bad. There's no right or wrong answer there. So if you rank in the top 62%, that means you're in the bottom 38%. So think about it like that. And network having an average SSI of 51, I think that's pretty much average across the board. Try and be, let me put it to you like this. If you can take some activity or partake in some activity over the next 6 weeks, by posting regularly, by connecting with more people and engaging with other people's content, you should be able to get your score into the top 10% in your network and in your industry very easily without a problem. Okay, guys, I've also added some poll questions. I don't know if you've seen that. Some of you guys have answered some of our poll questions already. It'll be very helpful for me and for my colleagues as well to understand what you guys took of value out of this webinar. If there's only 5 questions there, they're all multiple choice, so I haven't made it too hard for you guys. If you could please click through to the poll section, which is right next to questions, and if you could just give us your feedback there, that'd be extremely helpful for us over here as well. All right, so that's it from my side, guys. I'll hang around for a few more minutes, address any more questions that you have. If you've got some screaming kids downstairs, I can hear mine are starting to make a little bit of noise. You can go and attend to them. I'll definitely be around. I'm going to click to the last slide over here. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, go ahead and scan my QR code and send me a connection request. I accept everybody, and if I am hit with a sales pitch, then I delete them from there. But my policy is accept everybody and take it from there. I think we can all add some kind of benefit to each other. Thanks for jumping onto those poll questions, guys. It really helps us a heck of a lot. And I hope to see you guys on our next webinar as well. If you found this valuable, it was quite high level, I know. I will definitely be digging more into some more issues like content creation, possibly how to grow your network with the appropriate eyeballs, things like that. And if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to learn more about, let me know, and then I can put something together as well. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to host you guys. It's been really fun. I enjoyed doing these kind of things. I wish you all a fantastic long Easter weekend. Look after yourselves and your families, and best of luck for the rest of this lockdown. And I hope to see you online and in person sometime soon. I'll stick around for 3.5 more minutes until 3:10 to address anything else that you guys have got and that you would like to ask. Just remember, guys, that you will get an email from us after this session with 3 different links to 3 different kinds of resources that might be helpful to you. One goes to our company blog, which includes a lot of the content very similar to what I've spoken about today. Another one goes to our YouTube channel, and another to our podcast, which is called Wolfpack Marketing, and really concentrates about the concept of employee advocacy that I was talking about. Should be really interesting for you guys, and I'd love to know what you think about it. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for participating. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for giving up your precious time at home with your families as well. Like I said, enjoy your Easter weekend, and let's catch up on LinkedIn as soon as you're ready. Take care. Bye-bye.